This is a brand new segment that we're doing. It's called the NBA Playoff Report with John Robertson. John is an NBA fanatic like I am, so it's going to be a lot of fun talking NBA playoffs every day. Some days we'll have guests with us as well. The idea is we talk about the previous night's games, and boy, did we have some good ones last night. And then we preview tonight's games, and tonight's games are the Pacers and Cavaliers, and the first one, can't wait for that. We also talk about the Pacers every day during the playoffs and almost every day during the year on the Central Indiana Scoreboard Show. We talk professional, college, high school sports in Central Indiana in a Sports Center style podcast with scores and highlights every weekday, sometime between 1 and 2 p.m., usually at 1. As I explained before, this is podcast number 257.2. The NBA Playoff Report with John Robertson.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengels.
Happened. Crazy. Both of those games went the opposite way I expected.
Exactly. Welcome, NBA fans. As you heard, John Robertson is here with me. We're going to talk some NBA playoffs. And a round two could not possibly have started better than we got from the first three games in this round. The first round was a little You had a lot of blowouts. I don't think that's going to be the case in this round. Certainly didn't see the Knicks one coming at all.
No, absolutely not, especially after the start of the game. They were down by at least 20 at one point.
20, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I was watching the game. My wife was driving us home, so I was watching it on my phone. And I was like, well, this game's going to be pretty much over. We'll just see what happens with the next one. And then as we're sitting around the house talking, I'm watching as the Knicks just clawed their way back and went to overtime and then just managed to pull off the victory. I did not see that coming at all.
OG Anunoby was unstoppable. So was Jalen Brunson. What was the difference in that stretch?
I mean, I think it was rebounding, honestly. Like, if you look at the rebounding stats, they just had so many, and they were getting second chances and getting opportunities to go on a run, and they were just making the opportunity, the best of their opportunities to get it done. I'm looking at rebound. Towns was ridiculous on rebounding, and he was playing with a lot of fouls. Like, going into the fourth quarter, I think he had 4 fouls already, so he had to play careful, but he wasn't afraid to get in there and mix it up.
That's a concern for the Celtics and all. You know, I've looked at it from a Pacers standpoint as I look through the NBA through a Pacers prism at all times. And the one reason I don't think Boston concerns me as much is because Porzingis is a similar type player to Turner and is not that type of player who's going to be in there fighting for rebounds, and that kind of offsets our weakness. But it's a strength for the Knicks, and they might be able to take advantage of that.
Well, and Porzingis went out with some sort of injury for a while. He only had 13 minutes last night. I just saw on Twitter he's
too.
What's that?
That too.
Right. So he's being out is going to really affect their ability to get the rebounds and make the plays. But I just saw on Twitter he's supposed to be back for game 2, so that should make a big difference for the Celtics. Supposedly, there's lots of injury talk going on right now. It's kind of crazy.
Is it just me, or do you not remember this back in the 90s, the aughts? Just every night somebody's missing a playoff game.
Well,
you understand the resting thing and all that's been a thing the last few years, but they're missing playoff games.
When we're watching people get injured, I mean, I don't want to see people injured, but like I'm glad to see it's physical NBA again. It's much different than it's been for the last 15 years.
That's true.
Maybe 20 years. Like, we're back to physical basketball. Some of the younger fans, I think that's why they're not used to it and why they're complaining about the physicality, like even of the Pacers, is because they're not used to.
Stop it.
I'm just saying they're not used to aggressive.
I know. They need to stop it. This is basketball. This is when basketball was at its best, and we had it some in the first round. We're definitely going to have it here in the second round where teams just really don't like each other, and they play each other for 7 games. That's what NBA playoff basketball is about. There was way too little of that for a long time.
I agree. Like, I really do agree with you. looking at the series for the Knicks Celtics, I wouldn't want to be a Knicks fan getting too high and excited about this first win.
Yeah.
I
It
mean,
means they have a chance to get to 6 or 7 games.
yeah, the Celtics still are clearly the favorite for the series. Obviously, as New York, you're happy to take this one away, but like the way I look at it is Boston played pretty bad for a while, and Knicks couldn't have played much better towards the end. So like, there's lots of room for Celtics to play better, and I don't know that there's a lot of room for Knicks to play better than they did.
But sometimes this game one shows that there's a matchup advantage for the team that's not expected to. And one of those is Jalen Brunson. And if Holiday is out or hobbled, who's going to stop him?
Well, and Brunson plays a style where he's wanting to take contact a lot. Like he wants to take contact and get to the free throw line, so he's going to have to get hit, which opens him up to injury potential, which is bad for New York because if he's out, they're done.
But all his injuries have not been contact related.
I don't remember where his injuries come from.
Yeah, his injury last year was definitely not. It was fatigue and stress. I believe it was groin or something. Those types of injuries, which also you're going to get because he runs them into the ground.
Oh, for sure. That coach will put, like, if you look at their minutes played, Bridges had 51, Brunson had 44, Hart 45. So, I mean, that's a lot of minutes.
And I said this on another podcast. I don't know if it was one with you, but Bill Simmons said on his podcast the other day that it was almost like Rick Carlisle was kind of bragging about his depth going 11 deep in a playoff game. You just never see that, especially a close playoff game. We do need to shorten it a little bit, but it shows you that advantage that the Pacers have. As I said, I always see the NBA through a Pacers prism.
Well, right. When you live in Indiana and you're excited and they're making a run, you're always going to want to see what they're up to. But I think it was a good game. I really was the ending. Like we were recording something and
Right.
couldn't stop watching the game. I couldn't believe how close it was. So props to the Knicks for taking it to overtime. That was step one. And then
Brunson's clutch, isn't he?
He's very clutch. You know, I don't particularly like the way he jumps into people
I hate watching him.
and I don't love his particular brand of basketball, but like I'm not going to take away from him as being a great player.
Without question. He ditto what you just said there. Let's talk about the second game of the night, and man, was that a good one. Here's a question. I don't want to go too long on this podcast because this answer could probably take all day, but I think there's a difference between greatest player and greatest career as far as when you rank players and greatest peak of a career. And I think Larry Bird and his peak was better than anyone's ever been. I'll always believe that. But Nikola Jokic, has anyone ever been better than this in the NBA at one time?
He is unbelievable. I was looking at his stats. He had 42 points, 22 rebounds, and he was the reason that the team got hype and back in it. Because, like, I don't know if you saw the video of his little pep talk on the bench.
Yeah, I watched the game.
Yeah,
I showed that live. Yeah,
like he's willing his team back into the game. So I mean,
that's not usually him either.
I think he just wants it right now. Like I think getting deep last year and getting bounced really affected him. So I think he's really, really passionate about the playoffs this year.
Do you think because Will Rutherford ranked the Nuggets number 8 out of 8 most likely to win the championship, that was his response?
I don't know if that specifically is why, but I do think that he's not gonna let the team go out without a fight. It's in his blood.
And he knows how to do it.
So, yeah, that game was crazy, too. Like, and again, if you look at the chart, the Nuggets were behind almost the whole way. Like, back and forth a little bit early, and then most of the game they were down, and then they just came back. And, those missed free throws at the end. I forgot about the 2 missed free throws. When those both missed, I was like, the free throw game's going to be what costs them. And
after the first one, I went, oh. And after the second one, I went, oh.
Yeah.
After they missed him, was like, oh, this is interesting.
I did not see Aaron Gordon to be the one to take the final shot. That was not at all what I expected.
He said in the post game that he didn't think it was going to miss, is what he said. He didn't say that he thought it was going to go in. He said, I didn't think it was going to miss, and I sure did. I was like, that was the worst shot they possibly could have gotten, I thought.
I agree. Like taking the three from Aaron Gordon is not at all what I expected. I expected anybody to just drive and make a play at the rim and maybe get fouled or make the
As they
shot.
did the whole night.
Yeah, like that's what you expect. But Aaron Gordon just pulls up on a fast break three and sinks it, and like it was nothing.
It was crazy that he was even an option, I thought. Oh, I mean, going to the basket, of course he's an option.
Of course, I just did not. I did not see that at all. I did not see that being a thing.
It was one crazy way to end a game. That's another one that I had just almost turned it off because I thought it was over. And then I thought, well, you know what? They got Jokic. I should stick with this for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I was laying in
I was
bed.
glad I did.
I was laying in bed, getting ready to fall asleep, kind of dozing off, and then I started to get interesting, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" And it was one of those moments where coaches play the free throw and the foul and free throw game at the end of basketball games. It's just a thing, and I was like, "Is it really worth all this?" But obviously, it was because it gave them an opportunity to come back and win.
The line on the Pacers Cavs is still 7.5.
Let me pull it up. I just looked at it. It went back up to 8 for a minute.
Whoa.
And then it went back down to 7.5. Yeah, so it's plus 7.5 is the favorite at minus 114.
The computer simulators say that the Cavaliers have a 58% chance to win. That doesn't say 8 points to me.
No, I don't think so.
That means the Pacers have a 42% chance to win. And if any of those guys are injured, the Pacers got to be smelling blood. And if Halliburton comes out and plays well like he did toward the end of the last game and most of the last game, they have a chance to get this to 2-0.
I do think they have a chance. I was watching earlier, and they said that most of the guys that were listed on the questionable were not at shoot-around today.
Ooh.
So if they're not at shoot-around, that's not looking good for them being in the game, which I think – you know what, though? I'm going to be the one to say I don't know if that bodes well for the Pacers or not, because think of how many games they didn't play as well when people were out. Like, I would love for them to take advantage of the opportunity.
Game.
Agreed.
They're supposed to be contenders.
Yeah. We'll see. I'm going to go root for them.
I haven't seen it yet, so I don't expect them to come out and win this game. They need to prove it to me that they can do it against a team this good. They didn't do it a lot this year. They did it some. And what I fear is a slow start. And that's been the Achilles heel against these really good teams a lot of the season.
That's my fear. If they come out lackadaisical and slow, they're going to get behind and have a harder time getting back in the game. I just don't think that's – I think that's the one thing we got to be super worried about. How do you feel about the Warriors Timberwolves tonight?
I was going to say, if I had to put a team number 8, it might be the Warriors. The other night, they looked like they were running on fumes, even though they were able to find a way to beat a Houston team that's didn't have a lot of scoring options, but is going to be very good. They got a really good young core. There are championships in Houston's future, but they look like they're running on fumes. Again, you don't want to really doubt Steph Curry. He's proven it too many times. I am a true Steph believer. I just don't think they have enough. I think Timberwolves in 5.
I think that's where I would fall to. I don't think the Warriors have enough to get it done. They were looking tired against Houston. They didn't seem to have a lot of really good depth. But, every other underdog or like lower seed has won the first game, so it's hard to go against them, I guess. The pattern may continue.
And you can do the Timberwolves have been waiting a while, might be a little rusty, potential of that. What's the line on that one?
6.5.
Minnesota 6.5.
Yeah, Minnesota.
I don't know I'd go that far.
No, I don't think so. I think Anthony Edwards is going to come out with a chip on his shoulder, though. I think he's got something to prove, too.
Absolutely. Big game for him. Can the Warriors contend with the bigs from Minnesota? I know Gobert's not much of a scoring threat most of the time, but what he did against the Lakers, it's kind of similar what he's going to be going against with the Warriors.
Yeah, I think that's going to – I think the Warriors are just too deep and too good and too much talent. And they're aggressive as long as they don't get a bunch of technicals. I mean, Rudy doing his thing.
Yeah.
And Anthony Edwards just being like I like his fire though. I'll be very honest. I like the the energy Anthony brings. I know it can be taken the wrong way as cocky or antagonistic at times, but I think
Love the energy. Let's focus on something other than the officials who don't matter.
that's right. He reminds me the most like, and I hate to even say this, but he reminds me more of old Jordan than anyone else I've seen since. So I
Except for
really
probably Kobe. Kobe
okay,
was
okay.
a lot like old
Sure,
Jordan.
Kobe and movement and play for sure, but
Yes.
attitude,
Yeah.
I see it in Anthony a
There's
lot
potential. I expected a bigger leap this year for him. I didn't quite see the leap I expected if he was going to be Jordan like, because Jordan, every year he played, added something else to his game
for sure.
and became even more feared every single year he played in the NBA. I did not see that from Anthony Edwards, but he definitely has potential to be that guy.
No, 100% he does. I also liked a comment he made a while back. He said, I'm not trying to be the next Jordan. I'm trying to be the first Anthony Edwards. And I respect that so much. I love that attitude. Like, be great, but be great as you.
Yeah, but he's a shooting guard in the NBA. He's always going to be compared to Michael Jordan.
Well, of course, any great shooting guard's going to, like, from now until infinity.
You should take that as a compliment, whether they're saying you don't stack up or not, just to be in that conversation. And if, you and I lived through it, if you lived through it, you understand. It was just a different level of. It wasn't just basketball. There was something to him. It was almost, and I say this loosely, a supernatural kind of feel when you were in the building when he was there, and every eye was on him. And if you're even compared and mentioned with him, you should be honored.
100% agree.
Not a Michael Jordan fan, by the way. I've been a Pacers fan since, by the way, I was a Bulls fan when I was young. My uncle played for the Bulls until 1981. And as soon as he left, I became a Pacers fan and decided I didn't care for the Bulls. Didn't like him. Didn't ever want him to succeed, but he was that guy for sure.
He definitely was. I was a big MJ fan. I can't lie.
And LeBron James is not that guy.
No, I do not like LeBron.
And it's unfair to him a little bit that we make that comparison, but he's the one who keeps bringing it up. It's not close. I'm sorry. In fact, if you want a greatness level, I'd probably put Steph Curry above LeBron James. And LeBron James is on the chart. Don't get me wrong. I think
we're gonna have to save the LeBron in the top 10 for another day. That's a deep conversation.
It is. I can't help myself. I decided I wanted to keep this under 15 minutes. We're already at 17 and a half. But thank you so much. And I love talking basketball, especially history. The history of sports. There'll be sporting events on sometimes, and I'll be watching the history of sports stuff. So, because that's how much I love the history of it. But I do love what's going. I mean, not playoffs. This NBA playoffs are the best, man.
For sure.
It's hard to beat. It's hard to beat, especially when there are 8 teams that seem to be pretty even.
And they all won it. And they all won it. They're all playing with a lot of passion, a lot of heart. So
8 teams definitely believe they can win it.
Do you think Golden State believes they have a shot?
Yes. They have Steph Curry. They have Jimmy Butler. They have Draymond Green. They believe they can. They can't, but they believe they can.
That's fair. Yeah. I think if I were going to rank them, I would have the Warriors as the lowest possible right now, but
top 3 most likely to win the championship before we go.
Top 3 most likely to win the championship. Okay. Boston, Oklahoma City.
Say it.
I'm thinking Pacers, but I don't want to say it.
I would put the Timberwolves there because I think they win this series.
Well, yeah, I like the Timberwolves. We got to see them live this year, and it was honestly a really crazy game because it was the one where the Pacers sat all 5 of their starters, and then they still won. That was the game that Obi went off. It was insane. Right. So, there's part of me that thinks that, the Pacers can hang with anybody, right? But
yeah. Well, the one thing I said all day to myself is I finally believe that they can beat anybody in a 7-game series. I don't believe they will. I don't believe they're good enough yet, but I believe they can beat anybody, and that's a start, right?
Of course. And part of that is just I'm biased. I want like my heart wants them to be in the top 3. I don't know that they are top 3, but
I
like
used to look at it that way, but I got to a point where I just started looking objectively.
well that's fair. That's why I got to go with Boston and OKC the top 2. I don't know that Denver can win their series against OKC, but man, they made it look good last night.
I don't think they can either, but I'm not going to count out Jokic anymore.
No, that's for sure. I mean, that's an insane stat line. 42
And he
and
was
22.
and he was better than that.
Yeah.
That tells you. That team's not good. That team is not good.
Yeah. But
He
they're
is.
they're hanging in.
He is. Thank you so much to John for joining the Central Indiana Sports Report and to Nikola Jokic for providing such great entertainment last night. What a game he had. And to the NBA playoffs for being so freaking awesome. But mostly to you for listening. If you like these podcasts, please do us a huge favor and share them with your friends and family. That's the best way you can help. We humbly thank you in advance. Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.